try to make sense out of nonsense. Yes, man. So while I'm doing that, I also got to check and make sure that the live chat has started. And unfortunately, because of YouTube, you never know. You just never know. So let's see here. Get that together. Get a little more lighting. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I'm waiting for you guys. So let's see here. Kevin from Kevin's Corner. Let's see if it's just showing that I'm live. Yep, there it is. Bam. Okay. Rick, he's in the house. Uh-huh. Okay, there we go. I see some names popping up. Bam. Luciano's in the crib. There we go. All right, now we might be almost ready for business. Ready for business. Make sure y'all can see. There we go. Right about there. There we go. Now we ready. Oh, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Somebody said I'm here. Cat Winter's here. Uh-huh. Yeah. Saying woo. Oh, yeah. They're coming in. They're coming in, y'all. The backup is coming. The cavalry. Yeah, send in the cavalry. So now, today is Monday, and it is the first Monday. Wait, I don't know. Is it the first Monday of the year? I don't know. I'm trying to think. When was New Year's? New Year's when? Okay, yeah, I guess it is the first Monday of the year. So somebody said, best news I ever heard. Yeah, thank you very much. You guys make me feel all funny on the inside. Well, while you're logging in, I do want to remind everybody to hit the like button on the way in and on the way out. Saying you can hit it on all the way in between too. Tat, 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 all over that bad boy. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. And we can go ahead and get started since y'all can hear me and see me. So, and I can get busy. Oh, yeah, you see the silver back in the back. Real gorilla. Real gorilla. Real gorilla. What?
It's some kings in the building.
What? Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. So now, there also is a Kevin's Corner store. A Gizmo update. People want to know how's Gizmo doing. He's great so far. He's giving me a hard time with the medicine. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to save his life. And the man is fighting me every day. I got to shove a pill almost all the way down his esophagus. Almost all the way down there. I almost had my elbow down too. It's like that. Get in there. And he's clever. He's clever. Hits me with the Open your mouth, Giz. Open it. And then I find the pill in the mouth. So yeah, he's great. And don't forget, I still got the Help Gizmo Continue to Walk Properly Foundation too. If anybody want to support the channel, you could do that through checking out Kevin's Corner store. And you can also support the channel through my Cash App and my PayPal. The links are below each video. And you can support the channel by sharing these videos, getting the word out, trying to help me crack 200,000, which I already had cracked, and then somebody took me back. Yeah, they didn't like the crack, so they took me back. So I'm trying to get back up there and beyond, and we'll see how that works out. But tonight, we got all kind of good news that's happening. Oh, it's January 6th, y'all. Oh, no. I thought the worst attack on that. Now, isn't this great how last year the narrative went, for the people on the left, they salivated over January 6th. They was like, yeah, this is going to be a great day for us to always use the bludgeon Trump and all of those conservatives and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, by the way, thank you, Mousy. Yes, that would definitely go to use. And then all of a sudden, 4 years later, same date, now becomes a celebration. A celebration for us, y'all. We're sitting there like, yeah, Trump made January 6th great again. That's right. So I know they did not want to have to give up their negative narrative to certify Trump on the very day that they accused him of launching an insurrection. along with some good news. Somebody just said, bye-bye Trudeau. Good. The man chicken's gone, y'all. Like, cuckoo. The man chicken is out. Yeah, he wore out his welcome a long time ago. That dude should have been gone. So, yeah, the man chicken's gone. And it just looks like the world is really starting to heal itself. So I'm happy about that. So I want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. Happy New Year's, Dallas. And hopefully it's going to be live in 25. So with that being said, though, the left, they don't like it. They don't like it. And they're upset about Trump being certified. They're upset about Trump not going to prison. And we're going to be talking about some of these things. But before we get into some of these things, I do want to show something that if you don't follow politics, you won't realize how corrupt and evil this person is who is honoring other evil people. So Biden is honoring evil. Let's go ahead and check it out. Now, not the first one. I don't know anything about this kid, but this is funny. I just had to put this part in because
joining us today, Alicio, a 17-year-old from Texas. Where's Alicio?
Hey, Joe, I'm over here.
Tomorrow is his birthday.
Uh-oh.
We have a tradition in our household.
Don't do it, Joe.
Gotta sing happy birthday. You ready?
Don't you do it. Don't you?
Jesus, God, no.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. What? Did anybody catch that name? Joe got to be the dumbest dude on the planet, man. So he set himself up for failure. I mean, he didn't know Alicio's name properly or whatever. I think it was Alicio. But he decides to sing Happy Birthday again, which gives me one more gaffe to laugh as this dude gets ready to get booted out of the White House. Let's hear it again. Look, the kid's even laughing. He's like, man, this dude have no idea who he's even singing this to. But wait a minute, y'all. This ain't the first time.
Where have I heard that before? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear darling. Dear darling. Happy birthday to you.
So for a man who can't talk good, can't pronounce words at this point, can't remember names, why would you do this? Well, I know in his head, it might have started off like, this is good. Let's go with this. And then halfway through the brain was like, wait a minute. Who is this person again? What's the name of this person we're singing to? And if you got a difficult name, it's over. Alicio, it's over. I forget the Dr. King, I guess, son's wife's name, but he wasn't even close. He wasn't even close there. And he always does these things. Sets himself up for failure, but at the same time being a blessing. Being a blessing to me because I'm going to be laughing about this the next 20 years or so. So with that being said, let's get to him honoring evil. Yeah, this dude right here not only stunk it up, trying to sing happy birthday to somebody, but then he decides to bring up some of the worst actors ever to honor and give the freedom, whatever, the honor, the freedom, whatever. Let's see.
George Soros is Alex Soros.
George Soros. Now, if you've been following politics, you know George Soros is an evil actor. This dude's a Bond villain. Why would you do this? But see, this goes to show who the Democrats are aligned with. Now, nobody's getting mad though and saying, wait a minute though, that guy gives so much money to Democrats and the left. It's like he's controlling you guys. It's like who knows? He might be the president. Who knows? He might be. So they honor this dude. Now, this goes to show how far out of touch they are with a lot of American citizens. Most American citizens that got some common sense or just middle to right all look at him as an evil actor. And yet they're honoring this dude and throwing out stuff like this. Look at his son. His son is carrying on the evil. Just like Joe passed the evil down to the crackhead, George passed the evil down to his son.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to George Soros. Born into a Jewish family in Hungary, George Soros escaped Nazi occupation to build a life of freedom for himself and countless others around the world. Educated in England, he settled in America as he became an investor and philanthropist, supporting key pillars of open societies: rights and justice, equity and equality, freedom now and in the future. His inspiring generosity reminds us all of our capacity and our obligation to stand up to the abuse of power and to be guardians of democracy.
And to also make sure that he destroys our cities and our culture by bringing in a lot of woke DAs and all of that stuff and spreading evil. Yeah, just spreading evil. That guy right there is like, I'm not going to die until I spread evil all over the globe. So that guy who spreads evil and buys a lot of Democrats and woke folk to push his agenda has made efforts to destroy the fabric of our whole society. And Democrats are honoring him. Hitch their wagon to this guy. This man shouldn't even be allowed to donate any money to anybody in the United States that's in politics. That guy right there, he should be banned. Yeah, like, dude, you cannot be interfering in our politics for eval. But nonetheless, they let him dibble and dabble and buy up a whole bunch of them. And I'm pretty sure they're probably honoring him right now, not because he's a great guy. It's because he's been giving all kind of money to Democrats. So they honor their own, see? And they're picking the worst type of people, these billionaires, these globalists, these elitists. And it just goes to show what they're really about. And then trying to paint them as heroes. I mean, they have just totally disgraced this award right here.
And all people yearning to be free.
That man's hand should burn up. Both of their hands should catch on fire right there for touching that. And look at this. Look at this.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Holy moly. Holy moly. I mean, do the Democrats still think she got the juice? Do the Democrats think that a lot of people in our country are looking at her just like Liz Cheney? I mean, basically the people in that room and very, very woke liberals would be celebrating Hillary Clinton. Most folks look at her as corrupt, evil, crooked Hillary. Even folks that maybe didn't vote for Trump. I think a decently smart average citizen would probably say Hillary Clinton probably she's foul. She got a lot of stuff going on. And what do? They're honoring her for nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. They're honoring her for evil. There you go. Yeah, their whole goal is honor anybody who's evil or anybody who might be implicated when the next regime take power and start looking back through and saying, all right, how many of these folks was involved in these shenanigans and conspiracies? Yeah, so you might want to get out ahead and try to paint some of these people as heroes before they become zeros.
Hillary Rodham Clinton is guided by the Methodist Creed, do all the good you can.
What?
In all the ways you can. As a lawyer, she defended the rights of children. As First Lady, she fought for universal...
And drink the blood of children. Defended the rights and drink the blood. But nonetheless, let's continue hearing how she defended the rights of children while pushing abortions on everybody.
Healthcare and declared women's rights are human rights. As senator, she helped New York rebuild after September 11, 2001. As Secretary of State, she championed democracy worldwide. And her nomination...
What does that even mean? Did they mention how Benghazi? Did they mention is that champion democracy worldwide? I mean, this woman literally has done nothing positive, and the other stuff she's done just ended up in tragedy. And I'm saying these are the people the Democrats honor, and if it's up to them, they will rewrite history, and these people will go down in some type of evil Hall of Fame. But to the average bubblehead, they would be looking at them like that she's a pioneer. Can't tell you really what she accomplished. These are things that they just said. She was a pioneer for this. She the champion this. She was a supporter of that. I'm talking about what did she do to change folks' lives? Nothing. For the most part, just change her and Bill's pockets. And of course, she probably changed a lot of lives for the negative, if you know what I mean. Just so happened, you get in her way, you might end up deleting yourself.
Nation for president broke barriers and inspired generations. Through it all, her career has been dedicated to an eternal truth. America's ideals are sacred, and we must always defend and live by them. Her career has been dedicated to an eternal truth.
What?
Are you shitting me? You get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails, and then you acid wash them.
Everything he just said is absolutely false.
Wow. This chick right here. I will say though, crooked is the worst. Nasty is very nasty. Don't get me wrong. Those two are neck and neck with the eval. But boy, lies roll off of her tongue so easily. She is a full-blown sociopath. Easily. Just roll right off the tongue.
Well, the number is actually 32,000, but this is something that the FBI did look at, and this is essentially what they found, that in December of 2014, there was a contractor who was handling the server in her house and the emails, and he was told by the Clinton team to go ahead and delete what they thought were a lot of personal emails, or what they said were personal emails.
Okay.
The contractor told the FBI that he forgot to delete those emails. Then in March of the coming year, Congress did subpoena her over this email business.
And what happened?
And that's when the contractor said he made a second mistake, and then he did delete the emails, even though he'd been told not to.
Even though he was told not to. But normally, folks would go to jail for stuff like that. Yeah, they would go to jail for stuff like that, but not her. Not her. So she does that, and yet Joe Biden's honoring her. Now, did he bring that up? He didn't bring that up in that. She also deleted emails. She the bleach bit, the stuff and smashed Blackberries. Then there's the money in Haiti. The money in Haiti, we don't know where that's at. We still don't know where that's at. There was the uranium one. And don't forget the fake Russian dossier. Don't forget that. They're not bringing up all those things? No? Oh, okay.
And she lied.
In this case, given the importance of the matter, I think
nothing.
unusual transparency is in order.
Comey?
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information.
Oh, yeah. We about to hear us a verdict or some type of announcement for prosecution, baby. Because you just heard the guy who said, although there is evidence, for mishandling classified documents, that must mean he's about to drop the hammer on her.
Our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
What? Bruh. What did he just say? What did he just... See? Because they're honoring their own evil, folks. How you gonna get up there and just throw that in our face? You're telling everybody, yeah, she's guilty. But they, no reasonable prosecutor will take. But yet they all, for whatever reason, decided to go after Trump. When most people were saying no reasonable prosecutor would try to go after Trump over some classified documents. And then there was, of course, the hush money payment. And then there was all of these stupid things that all common sense, real legitimate, honorable folks inside of, the legal system were all saying that these are crazy charges. And yet they went after Trump. But no reasonable person would have went after her. Just like Joe with his mishandling of the classified documents because he was just too old and special.
Through it all, her career has been dedicated to an eternal truth.
The Federal Election Commission is now fining Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee
For what?
over the way it paid a firm to produce the notorious Steele dossier.
Oh, you mean the one that drug us through 2.5 years of stupid investigations? Russia collusion, tried to cripple Trump's presidency. You're telling me that was all concocted by Crooked, who paid for that mess and knew she paid for that mess and was going on TV talking about it, pumping it up like it was legit, like she was just hearing, hearsay about it, that people tell me and the intelligence say that, and I'm saying, you knew that it was you the whole time. And you used that narrative all over the place like you had no clue where this information was coming from. That's how evil this woman is. And to this day, nobody brings that up to her. I want somebody to go get about 15 copies of that dossier, and the next time her nasty crooked butt shows up on some program, I want them to take the whole stack and smash it right up against her face. Look at these. Right on, I want the nose completely flat. Asking her, do you recognize this? Why did you pay for this and then lie about it? That's what they need to be doing. But nope, they let her come on the show, say whatever she wants. And that's why she don't go on legitimate shows or news networks. And then she shows up at the White House with crooked Biden honoring crooked Hillary.
They destroyed Blackberries with hammers in the State Department.
Hammer.
That's not what won the presidency.
Actually,
And by the way-
Evan,
no,
hold
and by
on.
the way,
Can you
the
fact check
report-
that? Hang on.
Oh yeah, look at him. Coming to her rescue. Hold on. Could you fact that right now? I need that fact check right now. And watch this.
Came out in the 302s.
Hang on. Evan Perez. Hammers, fact check that for me, please, on the fly.
Yes, they did, Brooke.
And he looked like he was hurt to have to say that. That's what he did. You know, yeah, man. I hate to have to go ahead and say it, but they did. He didn't say that with glee. He ain't say it with confidence. Yeah, he didn't say it with malice. Now, if it was Trump, absolutely. Trump and his buddies conspired to do this, and the evidence was clear. But here he is feeling like a little ashamed to have to even admit it. And here she is shocked because she's a bootleg journalist.
As you mentioned, there were 13 devices, mobile devices, and 5 iPads.
Look at these two. These two over here sitting there like, yeah.
The FBI said that, in some way were used with her private email server, and they did, in some cases, just destroy them with hammers when they were done using them.
Yeah, there you go. So now, if the feds ever buzz Kev from Kevin's Corner, all right, we're going to be there tomorrow to pick up your laptops and your cell phones. And they get there, hand them a big bag of crumbs. Yeah, there you go. There you go. What is this? My laptop and my cell phones and stuff. Well, what? You were supposed to preserve them. Crooked didn't. She smashed hers with hammers and bleach bit them. So I'm sure no reasonable, prosecutor will find a reason to go ahead and, that's how she's got away with these type of crimes, and yet here she is getting an award.
Wow.
Just wow.
Just wow.
I feel you, Kennedy. And look at this. She should feel ashamed to even put this on her neck. Look, you see her head up like, Put this on. Man, I'm telling you, I would never be able to do that. If it was my job to put that around her neck, I might be like, Kevin, no! Kevin, no! I'm sorry. My fault. I could do this. Hold on now. Nice and gentle. There we go. So here she is getting this award and smiling and for nothing. And, Joe's getting a sniff too. Look, you see that? You see Joe getting a sniff in? He's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Hill. Stay still, Hill. Look at her. Yeah. I mean, right now she should catch on fire. That thing should start burning her neck. Unbelievable. So guys, as you can see, the evil folks honor the evil folks. And what do? They try to sentence the innocent folks. So President Trump, of course, is about to become inaugurated on the 20th. And what happens? Judge Merchan pops up again and resurfaces. And now all of a sudden, he wanted to go ahead and drop a sentence. And I'm thinking, where'd this come from? Why? Why would he ever want to do something like this? It's over. It's over. Trump won. The whole goal and objective was to stop him, but you didn't. He won. All the other cases are falling away. But this one, for some reason, this guy wants to hang on to it. Now, I will say this. This judge is dumb, okay? Either he's so committed to his wokeness and his hatred for Trump that he said, you know what? Even though there is probably a very high percentage that this was all orchestrated and coordinated and might even be able to be traced back to them selectively picking him, knowing that he would be okay with this. All of the flaws within how all of that came together, he just happened to randomly be the judge picked for all of the Trump cases. His daughter happens to be. All of these fishy details about this dude. Knowing that the new administration is going to come in and start snooping around and asking questions. Who communicated with who? How did Bragg come up with this? Why did this dude go here? Knowing that this might even provoke the new administration to say, and what part did he play in this? He probably could have said, man, you know what? Let's just drop this mess. But I guess he said, I got to give the people what they want. I got to give the liberal, radical folks and all the media and the Democrats their special talking point. They got two talking points that they just love. Trump's an insurrectionist. That's one. And the other one is he's a convicted felon. If those two narratives get blown up, they're done. So these are the bread and butters. January 6th, he's an insurrectionist. And of course, he's a convicted felon. So he wants that title to stick to Trump before he gets inaugurated. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. So let's get into this because my man Scott is hot tonight. I got a couple clips with Scott who's going to drop it like it's hot. So let's see what this is all about here.
All right, Ellie. You and I predicted the idea there wasn't going to be much of a penalty, if any at all, but there's no jail time, no community service, no fines as we know it now, nothing.
And why is that, Abby? I think that, no, that's not Abby, whatever her name is. I'm wondering if she's thinking like that. Now, isn't that odd that he's not getting any jail time, no nothing? Could this all have been political? Yeah, she don't think like that. But unfortunately, they got this guy on who actually, has a very accurate assessment of what this is all about. And he's going to bust her little bubble.
What do you think of this decision, given you didn't think the case should have been brought in the first place?
Right. That's what he thinks of it.
Well, it's an unsatisfying outcome, I think, for certainly the district attorney, but I think it points up ultimately that this was a case of prosecutorial overreach. I don't think there's any real way around that at this point.
Oh, my. How did they let that dude on CNN talk about that? This is their precious narrative they're trying to protect. See, they don't want their raggedy audience to recognize that, was this lawfare? Here we are, all running around like Trump's so evil and so guilty of all of that stuff. Look at him. He got 4 8. Now, do you understand the level of compromise in your brain when you're not able to make this connection? When you're so Trump deranged that all of these charges that they just threw on Trump, all of these cases, you're not able to look at this and say, maybe this is a little excessive. Maybe this is unusual to see all of these charges hit this man as he's rerunning for the presidency. Maybe some of them are motivated. Instead, your brain defaults to Trump's that evil. He's committed all of this stuff that would warrant 4 indictments. And he keeps getting away with it. Look at all the stuff he's done and all the rules he's broken and stuff like that. So that's how these folks are portraying this, to where they don't want their audience to realize this was all shite. This was lawfare. So here she is. She's not going to like his narrative because he just called it out. Prosecutorial overreach.
I think Alvin Bragg would defend this case by saying he looked carefully at the facts and the law and he believed it was necessary to impose accountability. And
Really? Yeah, that's why he didn't take it initially. That's why everybody else turned it down and said there was no case there. Yeah. So what Alvin Bragg did is probably got a phone call like, hey, listen here, boy, you better come up with some garbage. Okay. If I don't, hush up, boy. Okay, well, I'm sorry. All right there. Well, we're going to jerry-rig it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to duct tape a case together and go ahead after him while bringing on a woke judge that will give me the verdict that I need.
I should say, as I always do, Alvin and I were former colleagues at the aforementioned Southern District of New York. He was a colleague and a friend. But I think the vast majority of the American public now views this case as I do, which is that it was a colossal, world historic episode of prosecutorial overreach.
Bam! And the Democrats and the fake news don't get it. And they keep trying to resurface the narrative as if it's legit. As if they're now, after even losing, are going to convince all of these folks who said, that's a bunch of shite, that these were legit. They just can't come out and just say, all right, the reason this didn't work is because everybody knew it was bootleg. And we participated in that mess. They don't even have to mention they participated. They should just come out and say, now that we look over this, just like they pretend they're just now able to recognize that Joe Biden was compromised mentity. They should do that. They can't even do that. Where they're sitting back going, well, now that we step back and we look at the details of the case, we're able to see. I'm upset that we weren't a little more perceptive. And they're not even doing that. They're still hanging on to it as if Trump was guilty of this stuff and got away somehow. They don't like it. They don't like the fact that there's no consequences. But the big consequence is the title of Trump being called a felon. Trump's not going to let that slide. So let's continue because they want him to walk away and accept this felon label.
He took this case, which the feds had rejected, which the FEC had rejected, which his predecessor as DA had chosen.
And then here comes Fat Albert. Hey, Rudy, let's take a stupid case. This dude right here, he's deciding, I'm going to go ahead and take it, I guess. I don't want the FBI showing up at my crib.
Not to charge, and later said would have been a huge problem. He crafted a charge against Donald Trump that has never been brought against any other person in American history.
In American history, and nobody found that suspicious. Here all of us are over here screaming like, this is obvious. Lawfare. This nobody has ever done. So wait, Trump's get these special charges, right? They got to come out and try to explain it to the people. Nobody understands really what it is. These charges. He's violated the Geneva Convention, the Act of 1781, where there's a clause that says that, and everybody go, well, we know things like, murder, assault, and robbery and stuff, but the stuff y'all trying to tell us, that doesn't compute. But to the left, they didn't care. See, they didn't need a reasonable crime or explanation. It was just simply, tell us Trump did something. And we'll go, see, he's right. But when you question him, when you quiz him and ask him, so what did he do? What is he guilty of? The money thing, what made him guilty of that? What crime did he actually commit? He was spending, he ain't, man. Look, man, Trump, he done all kind of stuff. But they can never break it down. And that's how the left wanted it. They wanted ambiguous. Yeah. So the ignorant folks will just accept it.
He took an expired New York State misdemeanor, piled another expired New York State misdemeanor and popped it, and piled a federal election fraud violation in state court on top of that. Nobody.
And he put together a Frankenstein case. That case came into the courtroom all jacked up. And stuffed bolts in the neck, split round the head, walking like this, and gave that to the people. Frankenstein the heck out of that. But now, my man just broke down all of these specialties just for Trump. But you think that's going to make her go, wow, that makes sense. That is a little suspicious. Nope, not her. Watch this.
Nobody's ever been charged or convicted that way before. And so now the ultimate result of this, Laura, legally is essentially a big fat zero. And politically, I think it backfired badly on Alvin Bragg and on Democrats.
Bam! Backfired. Pow, pow. Y'all ever drove a bad car? You know what that means. You out there thinking you looking fresh in front of the honeys and pow! Was that me or was somebody shooting? That's my car? Everybody ducking. And they like, dude, you need to get that fixed. Car backfiring. So it backfired on them, and we were all there to see it. See, so let's continue because here she is. She don't like that narrative.
Clearly, Bragg would disagree, and of course, the
Clearly,
prosecutors who endeavored to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But let's
and me, she forgot to add herself in there, and me, because you're trying to take the side of the prosecutors and stuff, and you just overrode everything that man just said. All of these specialties, all of this interesting jiggers and contortions and all of that. And yet your conclusion was clearly the prosecutors didn't see it that way because they just J-rigged it together. They didn't see anything. They pieced something together. They made something that wasn't anything. They're like, we don't have a case, but we're going to make one. So what are you talking about? That they didn't see it that way. They never saw any evidence to go after Trump. They made it all up. That's what she's not getting.
set aside for a moment the views you have on this issue and what the judge actually said. The judge didn't view it in the same way. The judge's rationale.
The judge didn't view it in this way. The judge's rationale is I'm evil and I was brought onto this case to get Trump and I want to make a guilty verdict stick to him as he goes into the White House.
Was looking essentially at the fact that this is a president-elect, but also obviously looking at the balance he'd have to strike between how to actually get accountability in the form of financial payment, one, or also to hold him accountable versus via jail time. His decision, as you know, Ellie, he considered the immunity argument and the DOJ's policy of not prosecuting a sitting president, but that the idea of trying to preserve the finality of it. That statement, I think people are kind of scratching their heads about. What does he mean to preserve the finality of it, given that there'll be appeals and there are ongoing appeals?
I don't feel this one. He wants to preserve the finality of it. He wants that title as a convicted felon to be final. He wants that to be on Trump and to tarnish his legacy as a president forever. He was the only president that was a convicted felon and an insurrectionist. See, and he knows that, hey, if I don't, throw a whole bunch of extra crap onto this sentencing, he might just go ahead and take the loss and look at the loss as a win. He might just say, well, shoot, that's over with. Now I got to walk around, though, as a convicted felon. Here I am. Once I end up, stepping down from the presidency, I can't even get a gun. Can't get a gun. But I was the former president. Yeah, but you got this conviction on your record. Yeah. Oh, you were the only convicted felon president. Oh, wow, look at this, hon. Here he is right here. This is the one. There's the criminal who became president. That's what they want. They are going after Trump's legacy. They know historically Trump is the greatest president of our lifetime. They know that. And so they're trying to rewrite history by throwing all of this negative bootleg lies, accusations, and stuff on Trump so that after he finished making America great and everybody looks back and say, Trump was the bomb. Even folks that didn't vote for him be like, man, that's the best thing happened for us. I didn't see it at the time, but man, the best thing happened. Even they will be looking back going, man, Trump was the bomb. But the Democrats can't have that. They know Trump's the best of all times. So they're trying to go ahead and rewrite the future history of Trump. They don't care if he makes America great again, if he makes us the number one in everything, if he gets rid of poverty, the starvation, solves the climate. If he does everything, they will always be able to say, but that man was an insurrectionist and he was also convicted felon. That's what they want. And that's why the judge is trying to do this real quick before the inauguration. That dirtbag. Now I hope that this backfire on the judge. I hope that Pam Bondi or somebody start asking questions about relationships and communication and eventually work her way right over to that judge and see what part he played.
Here.
Yeah, so one thing Judge Merchan said in his opinion, which I think is spot on, is nobody really knows. We've never been in this situation where somebody weeks away from becoming president, and can that person be sentenced? And I think in light of that, Judge Merchan reached a reasonable outcome, which is let's try to move this thing as far along as we can. And in fact, by actually sentencing Donald Trump next week, assuming it goes off as planned, that actually will enable Donald Trump's legal team, if they so choose, to pursue an appeal, to appeal on the exact basis that I just laid out. You can't charge someone with a federal campaign violation in state court. And I think they have a pretty decent chance of winning. So by getting Donald Trump sentenced, what you do is put that chapter of this case behind us and allow Donald Trump, he's really doing Trump's team a favor in a sense of saying, if you do want to pursue your constitutional appeal while you're president, you can go ahead and do it now.
And see, that's what they're hoping he doesn't do. They hope he gets in and he's like, oh man, you know what? I'm focused on working now, and you know what? It is what it is. They didn't give me no sentencing when it came down to, you know, time in jail or money or fines or anything. So pretty much the only thing that they did was labeled me as a convicted felon. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if you know you didn't do something, that's not good enough. I don't want to be walking around with that albatross around my neck because somebody set me up and just for political reasons threw a label on me. I'm Trump. You know, I'm sitting like, man, I was the president and they want me to walk around for the rest of my life with the title of a convicted felon. Even if there was no consequences in this verdict and conviction, I ain't cool with rocking that title. So of course he's going to appeal. The hope is that he doesn't and just forget about it and take the win. But the win is not a win if you got to be labeled as a convicted felon. That is why these narratives need to be destroyed. All of these convictions need to be overturned. This label of him being an insurrectionist needs to be exposed and destroyed. We cannot allow these folks to rewrite history by putting all of this garbage out there about Trump. And we know that it's all lies. And the reason we know that is because in spite of them doing all of this and saying all of this stuff, everybody still voted for Trump. So now let's continue because Scott is about to drop it like it's hot, as they're trying to hang on to this conviction stuff.
In fact, many believe the tide changed when it was even filed as a criminal charge against him. People started to lean in more. But now that he's won, does the next set of events even matter in terms of what the judge will do?
Well, look, I think it matters because it's another reminder that radical Democrat political activists abuse the criminal justice system in New York, all to create a political talking point. Look, Kelly is exactly right, our legal analyst.
And the truth shall set you free. Scott, I love that. I love those truth bombs. Go ahead, drop us another one. See, right now, lady in the middle, they both know it's true. But they got to sit there with the face like, Scott,
here. This would have never been charged this way if it weren't Donald Trump and he weren't running for president. Should have never been charged this way. He should have never faced this. It was all done so they could call him a convicted felon during the campaign. Which
bam, Scott, boy, you know what? You keep talking like that, Fox News might come for you, somebody, or they might have to get rid of you. Actually, Scott might be keeping their ratings together. Honestly, you know, conservatives watch these clips for Scott. That's it. They're like, man, where's Scott? I don't want to see all the rest of them. So Scott just hit him with something real. And I totally forgot what Scott just said. I just had a moment. Hold on. He said something about this stood out. Let me double check.
It was all done so they could call him a convicted felon during the campaign. Which
there it is. So now Scott just reiterated what I said. And here's the crazy part about this. Before Trump was ever sentenced, he hadn't even been sentenced. So technically, they were out there using this narrative improperly or illegally. They're calling him a convicted felon, and he hadn't even been sentenced. But they used that the whole time during the whole campaign. A convicted felon for 38 whatever accounts and this and that, all of that bull crap. But see, the reason these two got the stank face is because they participated in that too. See, once they were able to concoction, this whole conspiracy to do that, then they just pass it out to the media. They say, now, guys, I need y'all to make sure every time you refer to Trump, keep dropping it out there. Insurrectionist, convicted felon. So these two, and many of them more, all supported that narrative. They waited for that. They like, come on, give it to us. Just tell us when to run with it. Go ahead, get the conviction, and we'll run with it. And that's what they did.
Of course, they succeeded at. What they miscalculated is that the American people knew from the get-go that it was partisan politics, and they soundly rejected this in November. So Trump's, I guess, going to get one more bite at the apple here to make the point that these Democrats in New York elected, Alvin Bragg elected, Marchand elected. These people are elected by the people, and they took their jobs in public service and used them for political ends instead of using all of their time to throw the bad people in New York, which there are plenty of them on the streets, in jail. That's the real lasting impact of this.
Bam! Now, even if I'm a bubblehead CNN watcher, how do you disagree with Scott? Scott's the voice of reason. But you got to understand, liberalism, sometimes they will hear him and think he's just a white nationalist, fascist, xenophobe. He's a J6 denier, or Trump. They will come up with some reason to not make what Scott just said make sense. That's what they would do. And CNN's banking on that. And when you got somebody like Scott that keeps combating all of this propaganda, then they got to come back and try to say, but Scott, but.
Abuse of the system for political purposes.
Look, she's like, she's in the middle, frustrated. Man, Scott's good. He's good. But I'm pissed off because, see, I put a lot of time into trying to make Trump look like he was guilty. And he's just mad for nothing. He's just simply mad that the system is trying to hold him accountable.
Because when New York City is descending into a hellhole right now.
No actual punishment.
Here's another one.
So should Trump do anything about it?
Well, I mean, I guess he could show up and continue to show what this case was all about in the first place.
Yeah.
And that is, it was for a political talking point. This case should have never been brought. It was brought by a partisan prosecutor.
Now, let's see how many stank faces Scott can give. See, yeah, I like when Scott talking, and they don't even probably realize the stank face that kicks in as Scott's talking. A whole bunch of beatboxing, and you can just see they can't wait till Scott gets finished to come in with an alternative narrative. But Scott.
If Donald Trump weren't Donald Trump and he weren't running for president, this case would never have been charged with felonies this way.
Shifting in her
seat. Complete and total sham. It's a kangaroo court. Of course he's not going to be punished for it, because the only reason they ever did it was so they could try to call him a convicted felon during the election.
How you like those apples? How you like those green apples? Look at that. Both of them. Both of these woke folk right there sitting there like, Scott, why I got to get on this segment with Scott?
Which they, of course, did. And then the American people soundly rejected this naked partisan politics. If you're watching New York City news right now, you got people being burned on the subway, folks running around with all kinds of violence in their past and not in jail, and the criminal.
But that shows Democrats' priorities. And Trump's going to get another shot to go ahead and highlight that. Okay? Everybody knows why they're trying to bring him in for this sentencing. And all that is another PR, situation for Trump to come out and say, see, they're still at it. They still can't quit. This is what Democrats' priorities are. They're going after me, and New York's in piss poor shape right about now. So all this is going to once again highlight the games the Democrats are willing to play. Their children playing silly games. So here's Trump, got all of this important stuff to do. All right. He is already working out stuff. Already these threats of tariffs are working. Other countries are saying, we respect this dude. And then you got the Democrats trying to undermine the office of the presidency by labeling this man a convicted felon. That's how much they think of our country. They want him to be traveling overseas, meeting with other dignitaries, having the respect of other world leaders, carrying the title of a convicted felon. That's what these folks are willing to do just for politics. And that's why they all need to go down. Burn, baby, burn.
criminal justice system is being used on Donald Trump.
Tay, is this a kind of Goldilocks decision by the judge here to give people who want Trump to have consequences a conviction that is upheld, but not have to deal with, a sentence which, frankly, was unlikely to actually happen given that he's about to be the president of the United States?
No, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think this is a slap in the face to the judicial system.
It is a slap in the face to the judicial system because it should have never happened. This has thrown mud on the system to a point where you can't unsee it unless it gets corrected. You can't unsee it until people are held accountable to show us that somebody's correcting this abuse of power right here. I mean, because if I don't see the correction, if I don't see some consequences, I'm going to assume that the system can come after me any given second. The system can, revert back to doing this type of stuff at any given moment to Trump or to anybody. So, yeah, you're right about that, but in the wrong context. You're trying to make it seem like Trump's getting away with stuff. Give me that bald head back.
We tell the jurors when they come into that room that your job is very important. This is very serious.
And then you tell them to go ahead and pick any one of these particular charges. You guys you don't have to all agree on one. You don't have to all agree on one. Here's about a whole bunch of them. Just throw a whole bunch of charges on the table. There you go. So fish through those charges. And if you see one that you think Trump's guilty of, just go ahead and vote guilty. That's how they wanted the jurors to do. And when they had testimony that would have destroyed the whole narrative, they didn't want that. Yeah, they didn't want anybody coming in that would destroy that narrative. They were shutting down all kind of stuff. But that's what you want? So basically a rigged jury, a rigged judge, a rigged everything. But here he is. He don't get it. He's thinking Trump got away with stuff.
We expect them to pour through the information, which they did. They came back with a decision, and now the judge is saying, essentially, it doesn't matter.
No. Yeah, they all came back with individual decisions because there was no real crime. So they just said, here's a handful of things that you can maybe say Trump might be guilty of. So you guys go ahead and stick your hand in the bag. There you go. Pick out one. Oh, okay, I got one. Trump's mean. He's pretty guilty of that. I got to say he's mean. All right, let me see what I get out of the bag. All right, Trump's, he's a narcissist. Well, yeah, he's a narcissist. I'm going to vote guilty for him. That's what they did. See, so they made it very easy for this jury to conclude that Trump was guilty of something.
You found him guilty, but I'm not going to assess any penalty at all.
Right.
I'm not saying you had to put Trump in jail. That's not likely or reasonable.
Yeah, but you wanted that. You wanted that. And I guarantee you, Judge Marchand, if he could have got away with it, he wanted it too. And all the Democrats wanted it. That's how evil they were. That's why they need to pay a price. If it was up to them, they would have threw Trump in prison for the rest of his life, knowing that he was innocent. If they were willing to try to accuse him of being a traitor to his country as a Russian asset, which would lead to perhaps the death penalty, do you think they would think twice about throwing him in prison for the rest of his life and rejoicing knowing that they threw an innocent man in prison? They don't care. Look at the J6 folks. They're all over there, and they know those folks didn't do nothing, but they don't care.
But there are fines that could have happened, up to $170,000 in fines. Why not assess that and say, you were found guilty? Here's a consequence.
He's a hater.
So America can know that if you do something wrong, there will be a penalty to pay.
No. See, that if that's the case, then where's Hunter's penalty? If you do something wrong, there'll be a penalty to pay, except for Biden, because he couldn't be held accountable because he wasn't in his right mind, but he can be president though. That's cool. And Hillary, don't forget them blackberries. Like I had to lay the groundwork for this segment right here by showing Crooked earlier in my live stream. So don't forget her, because there's not a price for her to pay. And then of course there's Hunter's son, who's gotten away with it. And then Joe with all of the classified documents and the money he's getting and stuff like that. There's just a lot of Democrats that they done slipped and slid through a whole bunch of stuff that they should have been brought up on some charges. But this guy, he wants to make an example out of Trump.
Brian?
Listen, I think what we're going to learn through this case more than anything else is the most helpful to President Trump's election. Because when you saw the indictment take place, you saw a lot of money come in. You saw the party consolidate against around President Trump, and that was a good thing. And remember, the original purpose of what at least Trump felt that this was happening was to try to damage President Trump in his presidential run. Hopefully, this.
Bam! Now this is obvious to anybody with some brains and common sense, but these people they're trying to pretend that these were legitimate charges. This was a legitimate case. Yeah, we got to get to we need to hold him accountable for something. The money mismanagement, I don't know, paying somebody to shut their mouths or whatever. Something like that was that bad where he should be held accountable and brought in on some charges, even though nobody else ever was a victim of these jerry-rigged charges. But these guys are pretending that this was legit. So they're paid propagandists because now they got to pretend like this is serious and make an argument that, of course, is destroyed by what this man is saying. Everybody can tell the truth. It comes off so smooth, so confident. This guy knows what happened. But these guys watch their emotion and all of this stuff.
So take him off the sideline. Democrats were all over the country saying, if you look at the polls, he's going to lose this much Republican support if we can just get this conviction, All politics. And it backfired on him. So I'm not surprised when we get to the very end that it just turned out to be a farce from, it's a farce at the end, just like it's a farce from the very beginning.
They don't like that. They don't like hearing that.
It was a jurors. I mean,
but there was a jury. Just because it was a jury, that concluded it, but there was a jury. They're not taking into consideration, what if all of this was coordinated? What if these people just because you got people up there and a judge and a prosecutor and all of this stuff, what about all the conditions that were created to lead to this outcome? I don't care just because a jury thing. If you guide a rat to the cheese in the maze, did the rat really come to that conclusion on its own? Here you are blocking every area, saying, okay, now let's make the rat go this way, that way. The rat might not even know that you're controlling it. He thinks he done found the cheese. But here you are, sitting there with your lab coat. All right, that looks to be going the way we guided him. All right, there he is. He got the cheese. So that's what they did to the jury. But let's continue.
There was a jury trial. And he was convicted.
But he was convicted in what really was a witch trial. I mean, the whole thing from the very beginning was politically motivated. And like you said, I mean, during the election, we saw how the American public felt about it. They felt that it didn't matter. And my question...
Yeah, so he was convicted in a woke court, but in the, national court of public opinion, we acquitted him. We acquitted him y'all might have convicted him in that very jerry-rigged courtroom with that bootleg woke judge, but we're going to show you the real jury. That's what we're going to do by voting him in. So, this lady right here is dropping it, and they can't let that happen because remember, guys, they're mad that Trump didn't get no consequences. They don't think just being labeled as a convicted felon is good enough. They want to see more happen.
Is why even have him appear if the judge has already made a decision that there isn't going to be any kind of fine, there's not going to be a probation, there's not going to be any jail time.
For politics.
What's the point?
He said he can appear virtually.
Right,
Which again, you're giving that concession. I understand it's the incoming president of the United States, but I don't want the point to be lost that there was a jury trial where that jury sit through and heard evidence and whether or not Trump should have been charged.
Did they? Because a lot of evidence was excluded. Judge Merchan didn't want the jury to hear the real evidence that would have destroyed Michael Cohen. Yeah, he was all, I thought we don't want to hear this. And you get it. He let that guy come in and badgered him and threatened him and everything so that he could go ahead and make sure that these jurors never really heard the truth. But here he is. They sat there, they listened to stuff. Yeah, they listened to only the stuff that y'all gave them, just like the J6 committee. And nobody was able to present any alternative information. Nobody was to cross-examine these witnesses. They just put them in there and said, listen to our one-sided narrative and then form your opinion based on that. Oh, well, what's the other side? I mean, it's hard to have an opinion if it ain't no other. You don't need that. We only want you to have one opinion. Trump's an insurrectionist.
That's not what we're talking about. He was, and he was found guilty based on the evidence. So you can't ignore that. and
Based
say it
on
was a
the
political
evidence.
witch hunt because a jury said he did something wrong.
What if the evidence was concocted? See, that's the funny part about this. These guys are now trying to make it seem like, Trump's beating the system and all that stuff. And I'm going, so the evidence was jerry-rigged and concocted. We all know that because we just listened to a guy just explain how this has never been brought before. You can't really even say what the crime is. And this dude's trying to pretend that there was very clear-cut evidence out there that was just so... Now, if this was real evidence of guilt, the American people wouldn't have to say, this seems like a witch trial. This seems like some bootleg crap. Every time y'all try to explain it, it don't really make sense. And yeah, we're starting to wonder about this, along with all those other cases.
Now the judge is saying he won't be
Dante,
punished.
the judge, he is not saying that the jury's verdict is invalid. He's just saying, of the options I have available to me, I'm going to choose the one that has basically no penalty. Isn't that an option that would have been available to him anyway?
No, I don't know of an option where someone is convicted of 34 felonies and at the end of it you say, okay, all right, we got you, but there's nothing that's going to happen to you as...
I don't know of anybody who's convicted of 38 felons that were made up, jerry-rigged, duct-taped, and Frankenstein together. I don't know. I don't know of anybody who went through that type of situations. Just like the one guy said earlier. Nobody in the world has ever been tried for this stuff. Nobody in the whole world. But here this guy, I don't know of anybody. You should start off with, I don't know of anybody in the world that was ever charged for this except Trump. That doesn't ring a bell. That doesn't make you go, that is interesting. That's peculiar. But here he goes.
As a result, that's just not how our legal system works, and we don't want people to think it works that way.
Yeah, our legal system don't work like that. That's why we acquitted Trump. Because we're going, our legal system should not work like we just saw happen, where you make up some charges, and just waive all kind of statutes of limitations and all kind of stuff just to make it happen. Our legal system don't work like that. But he's trying to pretend that the fact that Trump isn't, being penalized or jailed or whatever is showing that our legal system is broken. But it's the opposite. It's the fact that this case was even brought is showing that the legal system is broken.
Offender, no priors?
For all of the talk of Donald Trump being the victim
Here's another one. All the talk of Donald Trump being a victim
of the weaponization of our criminal legal system, he has consistently been treated more generously than the average American would.
You know what? They all should have busted out laughing right there. That whole table, including Abby and the rest of those propagandists, along with those conservatives, they all should have had a full-blown belly laugh right then when that guy said that with a serious face. That with all of that thing Trump has, what did he just say? That unbelievable. Did he even fix his lips?
He has consistently been treated more generously than the average American would.
I think he's talking about Hunter Biden. I think he's talking about him, the crackhead. How can this dude even fix his lips? See, you know what it is? Because Trump managed to beat all these bogus charges and cases. So instead of saying he beat them because they were all concocted, they were all lawfare, they were all jerry-rigged, they were all conspired to go after Trump for political reasons, this guy's trying to pretend that Trump beat him because the system treated him very nice. Trump wouldn't have had to beat him if they were not all ganging up on Trump. Unusually, the fact that this man had 4 indictments is the whole, that you should see it that way. You should be able to say, wait, you're saying that it's treated him nice? He's beat the system? How many folks get 4 indictments, separate indictments? 4, never had a record, never committed any crimes, runs against the Democrats, beats their tail, about to run again, and then all of a sudden, 4 indictments. Trump now becomes a criminal mastermind out of nowhere. Goes from no record to all of these, and he's talking about Trump's beat the system. No, he beat the corrupt system. That's what he beat.
To the point just made, who do you know who's been convicted on 34 felony counts?
Exactly.
Doesn't even have to pay a fine.
Yeah, a man who didn't do nothing.
to say nothing of some prison time.
Well, who else would have ever been charged in these circumstances?
But this is how we treat white collar criminals.
Oh, here we go. There we go. That's how we treat white collar criminals. Now all of a sudden the system is rigged. If he was just a lower level brother on the street, he would have got the brothers on the street can see this. You could be a low level drug dealer. You sit back, man. I got busted for selling, not even weed. I was just selling the seeds in the weed. Remember back in the day, weed had seeds in it. Man, I just sold the seeds, man, and I ended up getting like 5 months in prison, man. And same thing what they're doing to my boy Trump. People see the deal, but here she is, just the white collar criminals.
They walk away scot-free. This has been traditional. This isn't any surprise to us.
After they've been convicted, they don't walk away scot-free. There has to be some consequence, whether it is a financial or some combination of financial
than any other crime
or some prison time. And so here's a classic example. And by the way, this has been appealed on at least one occasion. I mean, he was convicted of things that a court has found beyond this trial court to be a perfectly valid thing to be convicted of in the state of New York. And so for all this talk about
a perfectly valid thing to be convicted of in the state of New York, only in the state of New York. That's why they wanted all of these cases in woke cities. Yeah. See, they're like, yo, we can only pull this crap off in a very Democrat-ran woke city. So here he's talking about that in the state of New York, who definitely concocted this mess.
A witch hunt, weaponization. No one can plausibly dispute that he committed the crimes that he was convicted of. They may not.
Everybody can.
But the fact is, he did the things that he was convicted of.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't know if this guy's a lawyer or not, but geez, oh man, what is he talking about?
Steve Chung is saying in the Democratic city. He wouldn't have got convicted in any other city that is a Republican city or even slightly leading moderate city. It's a jury of Democrats.
This is our justice system. To undermine your very point, if you're suggesting that Republicans would have let him off, isn't that in itself political?
Defense counsel.
It's very, very political. But that's my point is Trump has broken all these barriers and he continues to do it. But now the Democrats try to do it with the weaponization of our judicial system, and it just backfired.
Now, Abby tried to flip that statement and try to make it seem like, he would have got off in a Republican city or state because the Republicans would have went ahead and gave him some home cooking. What she's not realizing is that these charges would have never been brought in not even a Republican state, just a non-corrupt state or city. They would have never been brought. See, that's what she's failing to realize. We wouldn't have had to jerry rig nothing or fix anything because we would go, trying to charge him for what? Are you serious? That's why the Florida judge, because she's not a part of the corrupt cabal, they didn't like that. They would have loved to have a judge out of Washington who would just stamp everything they asked. But she was like, these are stupid charges. I got a feeling this is political. I'm not going to be hasty about this, Jack Smith. What are you up to? See, so that's what would happen. It had never been brought. But wait a minute. Scott about to drop one more truth bomb before we get up out of here.
Trump tax cuts cut taxes for virtually everyone who pays taxes. It wasn't just a tax cut for wealthy. Everyone who pays taxes got a tax cut. Extending these tax cuts would be tax cuts for everyone who pays taxes.
Yeah, because see, what they're trying to do now is prepare for Trump's success by undermining it. Saying Trump was a horrible president. He only was the president for the rich. He does making tax cuts for his rich buddies and stuff like that. And he's about to inherit the best economy ever. The best economy ever. And Scott can't let that happen.
So this was like one of the biggest lies told about the bill when it passed in the first place. But there is verified, absolute verified reporting from numerous reputable news sources that virtually everyone who pays taxes got a tax cut. That's what Republicans stand for.
Go ahead, Christy. Did you want to jump in
the
there?
wealthy got by far the biggest share of that, Scott, as you know.
No, everybody who pays taxes got a tax cut.
So we did. You can't get that over on Scott. So what they do? They bring out you know who, Mr. Burns, y'all. Oh yeah, they bringing out Mr. Burns to try to explain why the Democrats got their butts beat. And you know what his explanation is? The people couldn't understand how great we were. Let's hear from Chuck Schumer.
Did a lot of good things, but all too often, Kristen, we talked about the mechanics of the legislation and the details of the legislation, and we really didn't show the kind of empathy and concern to average, or show enough of it to average working families.
And I'm pulling this right out of my butt. Making it up, talking about the empathy. We showed them empathy by making them get vaccinated. And we showed them empathy. Yeah. So here he is talking about the reason is because he didn't show enough empathy and this and that. Or could it be that y'all didn't have a plan? Y'all were allowing, woke folks to try to destroy the fabric of the country like George of the jungle. And not to mention, y'all thought that y'all could just go ahead and beat Trump by saying Trump's evil, a threat to democracy, and an insurrectionist and a convicted felon. That was your strategy, see.
Who didn't realize how much we had done and how much we cared.
Y'all hear that? It was us. It was us, man. We didn't realize how much they've done and how much they care. So now we're going to have one of their own come out and destroy Chuck Schumer's lie.
The commenters to your piece, and I discussed it on my radio program as well. It's a great conversation starter. But a lot of them said they were bummed out in agreeing with you. Here's a comment. I'll put it on the screen. I'll read it aloud. This is from the New York Times. Character, honesty, decency, intelligence, democracy, none of these seem to matter in our country when electing a president. I think that pretty much says it all.
Now, I can't even believe the New York Times even wrote that. They should, everything they just said is applicable to the Democrat Party. Democrat Party. So New York Times come out and they blaming us. They saying that all of these things don't matter to us, y'all. Yeah, we overlooked all of these horrific things that Trump has done and stuff like that, and we're going to vote for him. Intelligence. So basically, they're attacking our intelligence and our integrity. So they say character, honesty, decency, intelligence, democracy. All of these things they're saying, it don't even matter to us. Trump doesn't possess any of that. We're just dumb folks that say, let's just vote for Trump because Trump is cool and stuff. And he wore a vest in a garbage truck and he worked at McDonald's.
You would say what to that person?
I'll say, well, first of all, I totally agree with that person. It's very depressing. But if you're doing political strategy, if you have an airplane crash, you got to go back and find out what went wrong.
Yeah, go get Chuck Schumer real quick. Because Chuck just told us that it was because we didn't understand. We didn't understand all of the grace and mercy and the decency and the love that the Democrats had for us all. Yeah, that's what he's saying. But this guy got a different take. So, Chuck, I want you to listen to one of your own.
You don't say, well, let's just forget about it and move on. No, was the flap set in the right setting? Or, was there something that the pilot didn't pay attention to? I don't know, but it is sort of depressing. But, Michael, there's a simple, basic rule of politics is voters want an election about them. They don't want an election about you or your opponent.
Bam! So now the old geezer right here got that revelation late in the game because he's suffering from Trump derangement syndrome too. And he's right. The Democrats, man, they'll crash a plane, get out, dust themselves off, and walk right off. Yeah, they don't even look for the black box. They sitting there blaming the plane. That stupid plane just fell out of the sky. Well, who was flying it? I was, but I wouldn't have crashed if the plane wouldn't have fell out of the sky. You know what the problem with those people that was in that crash? They didn't understand. They didn't understand how good of a pilot I was and how gracious I was and everything. Look, I even tried to land the plane, mostly to save my own life. In fact, I had a parachute. Unfortunately, they didn't. So they didn't make it. But nonetheless, they should all be grateful. See, that's how the Democrats roll. They don't stop and look back and say, boy, we stunk it up. So now they're getting an earful by one of their own.
And for too much, we lost that. I lost it myself. We made it about Trump, and we didn't make it about voters. And it's never a good idea. And how could I, at 80 years old, been doing this for 50 years, lapse into that level of stupidity?
Yeah, see, that TDS will do that to you, man. You're never too old to catch TDS if you're a liberal. That was the problem. My man got infected and didn't realize it until it was too late.
I got to ask myself. But I think we did. And let's learn from this. It's a disaster. I agree. It's depressing.
No.
To have an event like this and not learn from it, I think is the biggest mistake.
No. Shh. Keep that quiet, old geezer. We don't want them to learn nothing. We want them to run that back like they're still doing. Talking about Trump shouldn't even be, certified because he's an insurrectionist. Trump should go to prison. It's not lawfare. It's not lawfare. They're still trying to push the narratives that didn't work, that did not work, leading up to the election. And here it is, y'all, the certification.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy.
She's back.
As much as any other principle, it is what distinguishes our system of government from monarchy or tyranny. Today at the United States Capitol, I will perform my constitutional duty as Vice President of the United States to certify the results of the 2024 election. This duty is a sacred obligation. One I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people.
Now, these folks did every single thing they could to undermine our democracy and faith in the system. Everything. Starting off with the lawfare against Trump, the concoctions of the cases and all of that, using the media, all of those things, the fake charges, all of that stuff. Then kicking Joe Biden out, stuffing her in there. Everything they could to undermine everything she just talked about. They was willing to do whatever they could to win. Everything. Unfortunately, they got beat so bad that now she got to try to act like they're taking the high road. They're not going to do like Trump did and launch an insurrection. I have a duty. That's why I'm doing this. Only because I have a duty. If they could have got away with cheating and stealing this election, they would have did it and got up there and still made a speech like this.
As we have seen, our democracy can be fragile.
Yeah,
and it is up to then each one of us to stand up for our most cherished principles.
There you go.
And to make sure that in America, our government
is
always.
Obviously, there has been a lot of focus on President Biden's role.
He's back. So let's hear about Chuck Schumer's honoring democracy and stuff. Because remember, Chuck was one of those people who said the guy in the White House right now with no brains was legit. See, and I don't think it's good for our democracy when you have an unelected group of people running the country because the guy who's supposed to be the president, he's blew out mentity. So now Chuck Schumer, let's see how he honors democracy and stuff.
In this, you were obviously in close contact with President Biden well before the public tuned into that debate that ultimately led to him stepping down. I want to tell you a little bit of something you said last year. Take a look.
I talk to President Biden, regularly.
Regularly?
Sometimes several times in a week, or usually several times in a week. His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to Americans who feel as though you and other top Democrats misled them about President Biden's mental acuity?
Now, here's a moment for Chuck Schumer to be honest, to try to change the narrative. Just like a few minutes ago, he just straight up lied and said the reason that they lost is because, people couldn't see how great they were. There you go. And we all knew that was a lie. We knew that was a lie. But I got a good feeling Schumer is not going to change his wicked ways. So let's see Mr. Burns, after seeing himself just make those statements, after seeing the decline in Joe Biden, after all these reports done came out saying that he was blew out for 4 years. This man's back is up against the wall to tell the truth right now. And watch what he does.
Look, we didn't. And let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record. The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, putting in 235 judges, a record, and he's a patriot. He's a great guy.
Everything about that was a lie. Everything that he just said was the opposite. It's unbelievable. And then they wonder, but see, keep doing that. Keep doing that. Don't listen to the old geezer, okay? Yeah, I want you to keep getting out there and trying to gaslight the American people. My man said he's a patriot. I mean, he's great accomplishments. Everybody, they loved everything that Biden did so much that they voted him out, that they wanted him out of there. Unbelievable.
And when he stepped down, he did it on his own because he thought it was better not only for the Democratic Party, for America. We should all salute him. We should all salute him.
Unbelievable, man. We should throw mud on Joe, along with you. But hey, guys, here's Joe right here because Joe don't want to go.
Do you feel, as we have this conversation today, that President Biden could serve another 4 years had he stayed in the race and potentially won?
Well, I'm not going to speculate. Is it?
Why not? What do you mean? You shouldn't have to speculate because he was sharp as a whip. Yeah, there it is. So what do you mean? I don't want to speculate. Because you know he's blew out. That's why y'all forced him out. But yet Chuck Schumer is sitting here lying straight to us again.
As I said, I think his record is a stellar one and he'll go down.
Yeah, so much that he would have never made it the next 4 years and we had to get him out of there.
History is a really outstanding president.
No, you're an outstanding liar.
Wow.
Do you still believe he's a threat to democracy?
What he did was a genuine threat to democracy.
Now, see, somebody asked, do you still think Trump's a threat to democracy as he's about to be inaugurated? And here's why I say I have no mercy on Joe. He uses this last little bit of brain power to push an evil, lying narrative. That's why I can rip Joe without feeling one bit of remorse. So now here he is, instead of the peaceful transfer of power, this man is telling everybody that I still think he's a threat to democracy. A genuine threat.
The oldest president. I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole goddamn life.
And then, what a nasty, stinking potty mouth. Stinking potty mouth, too.
So, Bill, just to reiterate there, President Biden calling former President Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, a genuine threat to democracy. And the question that was asked that produced that answer about him knowing more leaders than any of the reporters in their whole goddamn lives was about Trump as ending birthright citizenship. Biden called it an awful idea.
Today, Congress is...
So, guys, y'all see the old geezer, number 2 right there is blew out. But he got enough sense to realize that Trump done whooped his tail and he don't like it. So he got to go ahead and try to throw mud on Trump. I still think it's a genuine threat to democracy that all of us voted for. Genuine threat to democracy. The American people don't see it like that. What is he talking about? So we're going to close with the media mad because Trump's getting certified and they didn't stop the certification because Trump's an insurrectionist and stuff. And he never admitted it. He never apologized for it. They don't like it. Instead of celebrating it or covering it and just saying, hey, today is the certification of, what do?
Certifying the 2024 election results in the major step that paves the way for the president-elect Donald Trump to return to the White House. And Justice Department officials are taking stock of the now failed effort to prosecute Donald Trump for obstructing the same official process 4 years ago today. With a final report on the investigation expected to be released soon, critics are starting to point the finger in a lot of directions, including at Attorney General Merrick Garland and decisions he made after the insurrection and about the investigation. Let's get over to CNN's Evan Perez. He's got more on this exclusive report. Tell us what you've learned.
Here we go.
Okay, you know, what critics would call the lost year inside the Justice Department, they say it was something that they had to do. They had to spend a lot of time looking into every single possible corner to see whether there was more evidence to tie Donald Trump to the violence we saw that day. One of the things they did find was there was this tip that developed in about June of 2021 that seemed to indicate that there was some kind of meeting between Trump or someone very close to him and members of the Proud Boys. These are the people who were behind some of the worst violence on January 6th. And so they spent months.
No, I think it might have been Antifa for the most part. Or people getting irritated by the folks in the feds throwing stuff at him and, pushing him and stuff like that. So now, here he is. Once again, just like the Russia collusion narrative. No ties, no phone calls to Putin from Trump. None of that. No phone calls, no text messages, no cloak and dagger, nothing. But yet, somehow, we still think he has connections to the Russians. There's a rumor out there that says that maybe, perhaps, and I'm saying, see, still pushing this trash, right? That's why these narratives has to get blown up. They will use this for the rest of eternity. They don't even want them to certify this.
Looking into that, they looked into the infamous Willard room, where people were trying to help overturn the election results. They also looked into possible financial ties. All of that took about a year. And so when you heard from Attorney General Merrick Garland about a year later, on the anniversary of the attack, here's the words he said that gave people hope about what this investigation was about.
Listen to this worm.
The actions we have taken thus far will not be our last. The Justice Department remains committed to holding all January 6 perpetrators at any level accountable under law.
Oh, no Antifa? None of them? No Black Lives Matter held accountable? None of those protesters for the dang on judges? They don't get held accountable. No accountability for them at all, right? Okay, I see how this is. See, so that's why this rat-nosed dude right here needs to go down too.
Whether they were present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy.
And when those words that the Attorney General said really gave people hope that they, at least the critics of Donald Trump, they believed that he was, in the end, going to be held accountable.
In other words, they went out there and got everybody excited. Everybody's like, he's going down for sure. Just like the people on the internet a couple days ago was out there talking about some, hey, y'all, word on the street, they might not certify this election. See, that they might go. Yeah, they got everybody all hyped, hoping that the electors wouldn't certify the election. So that's what they do to all of their followers and voters, and they don't catch it. They don't get it, that they're always getting the Lucy in the football. Always. Get them all pumped up. Trump did some evil. He's going down. The walls are closing in. And then he gives them the slip because it's not legit. See, if it ain't legit, you give them the slip.
Kate, what people didn't realize, of course, was that there was a calendar that was expiring and expired very rapidly, especially when Donald Trump became the inevitable nominee for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
One critic I talked to, someone who was involved in the investigation early on, said they wasted time. They were not strategic. Yeah. It was a whole year of nothing. And they said
they didn't make it extremely obvious that this was politically motivated because they didn't have no real evidence and stuff like that. That's what you say. And even yet still, they ended up with Jack Smith trying to concoction something together. So, yeah, now they blaming Merrick Garlic.
The investigation ended up doing was boosting Trump during that primary, the Republican primary, of course.
This remains an evenly divided country, and no one, to paraphrase William F. Buckley, no one is held hostage to the results of the last election, other than what the Constitution tells us. And so we are still a divided nation. And yes, Donald Trump won despite January 6th.
Yeah.
But that half the nation was okay with that. Mm-hmm. Half the nation not okay with that.
No.
The debate can.
No. So don't try to act like the people who voted for Trump is okay with it because they know it was garbage. Then there were probably a lot of people who didn't vote for Trump but still knew that was garbage. So don't make it seem like half the nation is not okay with this whole insurrection thing, and that's why they voted against Trump. They tried to make the insurrection narrative the reason not to vote for Trump. They tried to sell everybody on this thing being horrible. When you look at the totality of that thing, man, if people were honest, this was really just some civil unrest. You look at this, you might see this anywhere. I'm going, so wait, y'all tried to make this seem like, where was the fires and the guns and the folks one person got shot? So basically a couple people got irate, pushed cops around a little bit. They played a little tug of war, back and forth. And now all of a sudden, y'all trying to tell us that this was that bad to where somehow Trump is tied to it. He's responsible for it. And I shouldn't vote for him because of this. They tried to oversell something that you can't sell in a movie. If you tell me, man, come see the movie called The Insurrection, and I get there and I see folks walking around inside the building looking at stuff in the ropes, and I'm going, this movie sucks. You told me this was going to be the worst ever attack on the... And I'm watching that garbage. I'm going, man, what kind of mess you try to sell me? So that's the problem with this, and yet they're still trying to sell it to us.
Continues in full.
Brad, is it time for Donald Trump to apologize for what took place for
Oh
you?
my God, I cannot believe he said that. Apologize for what? See, this is why I love Trump. He's not going to bend the knee. When they asked him, now that you won, Mr. President, now are you willing to admit that there was a free and fair election in 2020? Nope. Yeah, no. See, that goes to show he really believed it. If he didn't believe it, he'd say, well, now that things are where they are, yeah. Trump really believed it, and I do. I really believe that they stole that, but it was for our good. The devil meant it for our bad, but it worked out for our good. So let's see Jim Acosta try to get this guy to say Trump needs to apologize.
4 years ago?
I wouldn't expect Donald Trump would apologize. I think nor do I expect Democrats to apologize for trying to undo his presidency by all legal and extra legal means after that.
Come on, Brad. Come on.
No, see, now look at that. Look at that. See, he's unwilling to see the part that the Democrats played. He can't say, come on, because it was all legit, right? All these Democrat attacks, all these liberal prosecutors and judges, all of that was legit. Jim Acosta's downplaying this guy's statement. Come on. There was nothing suspicious about all of these charges and stuff.
Own polling. Look at CNN's own exit polling. Voters who said they voted on democracy were evenly split between Democrats and Republicans. January 6th was a dark day in the history of our country. Donald Trump bears a lot of responsibility for that.
Not one.
It's something that should stay in his legacy forever.
No, it shouldn't.
However, voters, they punished him for it. That's why he was behind Ron DeSantis by 20 points until Alvin Bragg indicted him. And once voters decided that Democrats were determined to prevent Donald Trump from being elected by any extra legal means, they decided maybe this wasn't as clear.
I mean, shouldn't your party...
Well, we knew ahead of that. We knew the whole blaming Trump for the J6 so-called insurrection was garbage. Off grid. I knew who I was voting for way before Trump announced that he was running again. Right after January 6th, when he got on Marine One, and everybody was like, I wonder if he's going to run again. I was like, I'm voting for Trump. I don't care who it is that runs against him. When it all filters out, Trump's going to be the main man standing. I don't care if Ron DeSantis, they try to push him to the top. I don't care if they're all the polls show, early polls showing. Yeah. Now, anybody who really observed J6 knew that was trash and it was all concocted, and that would have not messed with real Trump supporters. Vote for Trump the next time, because we knew that we was bamboozled during that time. So now Jim Acosta got to try to hate on it.
Party have just rejected him, just flat out rejected him, from Kevin McCarthy to Mitch McConnell to the whole lot of them. How could your party let him be the nominee again?
Look at that. How could your party let him be the nominee? Because number one, Trump was not convicted of an insurrection, wasn't charged of an insurrection, and he didn't commit an insurrection, you big dodo bird. Number two, it wasn't up to Mitch McConnell. It wasn't up to all of them. You know who was up to? Us. The people. They feared us, not Trump. If it was up to them, they would have destroyed Trump, because you heard them all talking reckless right afterwards, including Lindsey Graham and all of them. But they realized the sentiment towards Trump was still there from us.
Watch what Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell said in the aftermath of that. They absolutely did condemn him.
Exactly. They were haters. But look what Jim tried to say to justify these attacks on Trump. Look who he brings up.
McConnell was still condemning him months afterward on the floor. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi decided to use January 6th for partisan gain, though. She appointed. She refused to let Kevin McCarthy.
These people, man, unbelievable. That's not true.
Appoint Republicans to the committee. She didn't let Republicans hire staff to the January 6th Oversight Committee. They didn't allow cross-examination.
The January 6th committee had the Republican of all Republicans, Liz Cheney, on it.
Did you hear that? The January 6th committee had, of all Republicans, Liz Cheney on it. This is his justification for that bootleg, thing on committee. He's bringing up Liz Cheney like we're supposed to be like, well, dang, she is the ultimate Republican. She's like a 100% non-rhino. She's straight MAGA. Therefore, if she was on that committee, it has to be legit. And listen what happens.
She was not booted out of your party. I mean, she wasn't appointed by her conference like
Dick
every
Cheney's
other
daughter.
committee.
She's Dick Cheney's daughter.
Wasn't appointed by the Republican conference.
She's a good Republican because she's obedient when it comes down to the uniparty. That's what they consider good Republicans. Ones that are never Trumpers. Ones that's willing to deceive and betray Trump and the MAGA movement. That's the ones they like. The ones that they could use and prostitute, bring on the show to justify why Trump's evil and why this was all legit.
Good Republican.
So they're going to have to stop Scott.
In a political sense, is it how we got here? Is it interesting? And you can see the evolution. You can play all the sound bites from the days after when you heard Republicans blaming Donald Trump, some being short of saying he should be impeached, saying he should be held accountable. And 4 years later, we are here. It is a stunning political comeback attributed to how Trump played it afterward, how Democrats played it afterward, or something else.
No. There. It's contributed to, number one, y'all having a raggedy candidate who stole the election. But number two, the fact that we all knew this was garbage. That's what she don't realize. It was the people. We supported Trump because we saw what they were doing. I don't care how many Republicans came out and tried to, this is ridiculous. Now that, Trump did this, we can't support him. And immediately realized like, oh, shoot, my constituents is still supporting. They don't like me coming out saying, actually, I might have not agreed with what Trump said, but, I don't think he should. See, that's
I think it's some mixture of everything, but to me, the big message is that in the United States, the people decide. And because of the disastrous 4 years that came after Donald Trump, the people decided to return Donald Trump to power. And that's fundamentally what happened. They looked at what happened on January the 6th. They looked at all the things Democrats claimed about Donald Trump, and they also analyzed every single decision that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris made, and they delivered Donald Trump a convincing victory for you.
Yo, Scott. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. They're going to have to silence Scott, y'all. Because he's dropping it like it's hot. They like, man, we got to stop Scott.
It is tough, though, Scott, because when you say the people decide, that's what people tried to make sure didn't happen on January 6th, was allowing the people to decide.
The machinery turned. It was a terrible...
The lack of acknowledgement of how bad it was in the aftermath.
Well, see, that's the problem. Because it wasn't bad. I mean, y'all trying to make us acknowledge something or make something look worse than it was. You're not going to get me to be like, it was the worst thing ever. And it might have been a protest that got a little out of hand. And I even questioned why it got out of hand. Who were the people that encouraged it to get out of hand? Who were the instigators? See, I even questioned that. But here she is. So I acknowledge how bad it got. I think it got pretty bad when they tried to storm the White House and was burning down churches. Yeah, I think it was pretty bad over the whole summer of love, where you got billions of dollars damaged and folks that died actually, not made up deaths, died because of the summer of love. I think that was pretty bad. But here she is. You're not willing to acknowledge how bad it was?
I mean, I think a great many people have acknowledged it, but also what happened that day. The machinery turned. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden became the president. He had one of the worst terms of any U.S. president, and then the people scrambled back to Donald Trump. That is the history of what happened.
If you look at the fact that something like net migration at the border is lower than it was even before Donald Trump took office.
See, here we go. So now, since they can't stop him, they're getting ahead of it. They're trying to say, you know what? Look how great Joe Biden's legacy is. And Trump's about to inherit all of this goodness. Just like Chuck Schumer said. Everything's great, but we just don't know it. We just don't know it yet. See, so now here he is trying to go ahead as we close, telling us, though, that Trump is about to walk into a great situation.
If you want to look at the stock market, you're looking at the stock market.
No, but do you think
I'm not even finished running it down yet.
This is the first time. The border needs to be secured further, and this number can be accurate.
This is the first time in dozens of years that a president has actually inherited a government where we don't have soldiers overseas in active combat zones. So, I mean, let's actually look at where we are. He is actually inheriting a government right now that is much better than any predecessor he's had before.
Okay. I mean, I recognize that was the argument that was made during the election. And
do you hear, Scott? See, this is how baffling what these folks are trying to push is. And Scott's like, I really don't almost know what to say to that. That right there is some fascinating gaslighting, and he don't even know what he's talking about. So Scott's going to end him to the point where the lady has to step in and stop the fight.
And I would also like to recognize that the American people soundly rejected that argument. We do have American troops in forward locations all over the world.
Not in combat zones.
But they are in hot spots. I mean,
but not in combat zones.
We just had an American soldier die not too long ago in the Middle East.
Correct. And they're protecting our freedom every day.
Trying to fix Joe Biden's $300 million public relations pier for Gaza. I mean, the reality is migration was a disaster. Immigration was a disaster for 3.5 years. And they tried to window dress it for the last 6 months. Inflation was a disaster for all 4 years. The economy is not working for most people. That's why Democrats lost the election. And that's...
Man, he beating his tail. Yeah, the ref right now, the fight is fixed. She's like, I gotta stop Scott. Stop. Scott's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him. I can't let him get killed like this.
That's why they're going back to Trump.
Democrats lost the election. Nobody's arguing that. I mean, that's what the argument was 4 years ago when Donald Trump was filing lawsuits and they were raiding the White House. What we are saying, though, is that prices are going down. What I am saying is murder rates. They actually are going down.
Inflation is still...
It's plateauing.
He's trying to Chuck Schumer us. He's trying to Chuck Schumer us, man.
Decreasing in rate, which is the entire...
And here she is. They're trying to... The ref steps in. They're decreasing the rate, which is the entire goal. The ref tried to step in. Now, if this was so obvious and things were great, they wouldn't have got their butts beat. Okay? Once again, they haven't learned. Still gaslighting.
But are prices going down or not, just to be clear? No, they're not.
They are down from their sky high rates. Yes. Anyway,
no.
Let's move on. Next up for...
We were just arguing over combat zones. I don't know where we are this morning.
You can argue.
You guys are trying to paint a picture of a country that doesn't exist.
I'm not painting anything. I'm painting... Stop talking. That's what I'm painting.
She stopped the fight. But it don't matter. Because look who's here.
You tell him I'm coming!
Oh, he's here
and
already.
Hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Yeah.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, man. So there you have it, y'all. They can whine about it, complain about it, sit back, talk about Trump. I can't believe that people voted for him. He should come out and do an apology. Trump should be in jail. Trump should be this and this and that. You know, none of it matters. You can't stop it. Can't stop it. And they come out and say, well, he's a convicted felon. We'll take it. We'll go ahead and take him as a convicted felon until that mess get overturned. All of that crap. So I appreciate how things are going so far. I tell you, man, I feel so good about the future. I mean, could you imagine if these folks would have pulled off another caper? Whew. Boy, it wouldn't. Nothing would be new about this year. We'd be sitting there like, oh man, Christmas, no Christmas time, nothing. So I'm excited about it. I just hope moving forward, YouTube will get the message and realize that the people demands conservative voices. So stop suppressing my channel. Stop suppressing my videos. Bull crap, man. They're bull crap, but you guys got to help out by continuing to watch, share my videos, like my videos, engage with the videos, because that, of course, supposed to ignite the algorithms. So help me out in that area, guys. Don't forget, follow me on all the other social media platforms. Definitely would appreciate that. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do that through my Cash App, my PayPal, or even checking out Kevin's Corner Store. You can text MAGA to this number here on the screen. And this way, just in case they decide to stick it to me even more, where they unexist me, we'll at least be able to communicate and stay in contact somehow. Other than that, I think that's it, guys. Now I'm going to get me a little bit of nourishment and go from there. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Oh, Gizmo, he's in the room. You know what? Something strange happened today, y'all. Gizmo stopped looking at Nala like she was a pest. I'm sitting there, getting ready for the show, and I look down and Gizmo like, come here for a second. Stop moving. Let me talk to you. And I was going, hey, what's going on over there? Y'all supposed to be brothers and sisters. And Gizmo, for some reason, started getting a little fresh. And, I was busted up. Now, she's still young and immature. She don't know what he was doing, but maybe he's trying to get some practice in or something. And I'm sitting there going, hey, buddy, you got a bad back. You don't want to throw your back out trying to get nasty. So I had to bust that little party up, man. I have to keep an eyeball on him. I don't want to wake up one day and some puppies are running around the house. And y'all gonna have to help me out and start buying them. I'll be like, all right, I got one puppy here. I got another puppy. Anybody want this puppy? He's supposed to be doing a show. He's selling his puppies. That's right. I can't do a show until I get rid of these pups. So anyway, we'll see. Somebody said I'd buy. You know what? I bet you if we did have puppies, you guys, y'all love Gizmo and Nala enough to where I think y'all probably would buy those puppies like that. So, all right. So God bless y'all. I'm not making promises about puppies in the future. So, but if it happens, we'll see. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Yeah, man.
This is awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Tear up the place, yeah. Take care.